Trent, just talk a little bit about the summer 7-on-7 and going into fall camp.
It was a really great summer for all of us. It was really long, it was really hot. I'm not gonna lie, but in the end, we learned a lot of stuff, good and bad. There was a lot of good stuff. I think we're gonna have really good strengths on both sides of the ball, and there's also a lot of mistakes that were made, and those are things that we can go back and fix. We finished off very strong at the Hoover tournament at the end of the summer, which kind of gives us really good momentum going into this season.
You're getting ready to go into playing a team that you're real familiar with. Talk just a little bit about the Kickoff Classic and playing Central Phoenix City.
I'm really excited. Central's a phenomenal team. I've had the opportunity to play them. I think 3 times now, and every single time it was not any different. They're one of the best teams I've ever played against. No matter who the coach is or who the players are, they always come out with a different fire and intensity. I think this year is no different at all. Even with a new coach, this is a coach that's used to winning. He came from a very good high school team to another very good high school team, and he's got players to support him to really give us a good game. So I'm excited to play them.
Is there anything like during the summer or even in the fall that you feel like I just need to work on this part of my game a little bit?
I think from a personal standpoint, it's just working on my leadership. I'm more of a vocal leader. I'm not the type to rip into someone, to get on them in front of everybody. I'm more of a lead by example or pull them off the side, say, hey, let's fix this. But I know that sometimes a quarterback has to have that fire and intensity, and that's something I've been working on. And I think I've gotten a little bit better at that. Especially over these past couple of weeks during fall camp. And then from a physical standpoint, just getting bigger, faster, stronger. I've put on a good amount of weight since the end of last season, and then from a mental standpoint, just expanding my knowledge of the game. Making my IQ better. Reading defenses. Seeing tendencies, and having a good grasp of our playbook as well.
Talk a little bit about your wide receivers and this group that's with you this season.
This wide receiver core honestly is phenomenal. I would say probably one of the best I've ever played with since I've been here. It's led by Darian Mosley, and we've got Mason McClure, Dedrick Kimbrough, Braylon Coleman, and those are just the main 4. Got Tanner Eman at tight end, and then we've got some young guys under them that will make some scenes happen when they get in the game. So I'm really excited to throw to these guys this season.
Now I know you really haven't thrown to the tight end much, but you've got a pretty big weapon right there this year. I'm assuming that he's going to be a little bit more of the offense.
Yes, sir. No doubt. I can't really speak much on it, but he's going to have a very big impact on the offense this season.
Talk a little bit about your relationship with Jar, just what he means to you, and been around the program, been to the varsity, and what have you seen in him to where he's can compete at a big level like you did at his age?
Yeah, I've known Jahari since, I think since he was probably in elementary school, to be honest. And he's a great kid. He's honestly like a little brother to me. We've been training with each other forever. And I feel really comfortable with him as my backup. With him at such a young age, he reminds me of myself. He's already got such a good, grasp and knowledge of the offense, and he's only going into his freshman year. He's got all the physical capabilities. He's taller than me now, which is crazy. But he's got a great arm, and he's really smart too. He's always asking me, what's the read on this play, and when I tell him, he never has to ask again. He already knows. He knows where to go with the ball, and for him to be that young and have that great knowledge of the game, I think once I graduate, I'm handing off the reins to someone that I trust.
When you were that age, is it something being in 9th grade where you just have to get over that fear of making a mistake? Is that something that he has to battle at that young age in 9th grade?
Oh, no doubt. It's funny, you say that. I saw it. I think it was yesterday in practice. It was just one or two plays. He's kind of indecisive where he wanted to go, and I put him to the side, and I said, look, if you're gonna make a mistake, just make it at 100%. The biggest thing about being a quarterback is that you can't be indecisive. Even if you make the wrong decision, make sure you're all in behind that decision. And I hope he really takes that with him, and I think he will. But yeah, I mean, it's just getting over that fear of being indecisive, just knowing where you're gonna go with the ball.
What's your relationship with Coach Freeman been over these years?
Oh, it's been one of the closest relationships in my life. He's honestly like another dad to me. Outside of football, he's a phenomenal person. Man of faith. He's really brought me up on my Christian journey. Obviously he's built me as a football player, but also as a man and a Christian as well, which I'm really grateful for.
Just want to talk a little bit about Alabama. Why Alabama, and how, has that been something even when at a young age you just felt like I had a pull, I wanted to go to Alabama and play football?
No doubt. I've been an Alabama fan ever since Tua got there. When I was living out in Hawaii, when he got here to Alabama, pretty much the whole island became fans. But my family especially, we stayed Alabama fans because we didn't really have a college team at the time. But once he got there, that's who we became. And when I watched him go in, his true freshman year in the national championship game, I was in like third grade, and I just remember man, that'd be so cool if I could go there and play in that same jersey. And for it to finally have the opportunity to come true, it's been such a blessing. And I wanted to grasp that opportunity, and I was able to.